So I think that's probably the main reason why Indonesian startups don't go outside of Indo. It's just because we've been, like, again, 10 years. Indo is the largest market, blah, 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 things like that.
Yeah, Indo is big, but for who?
Yeah.
For what kind of startups?
And
what's big? What's the definition of big, right?
Right. If you don't educate, again, our high schoolers, our university graduates, right? Then it's going to be very difficult to do anything moving forward. The reason why China, Vietnam, right, all of these neighboring countries, Singapore, right, they have a deliberate plan to implement AI from the ground up.
Hello Nalar people, this is Ray again from Nalar Bicara. Today I have a guest who's a startup founders. His name is Joseph. He's been working on an AI startup called Mimin. Everyone please welcome Joseph.
Hey, thanks a lot, man, for having me.
Thanks for coming. It's exciting. I've heard a lot about you. Congratulations on the recent funding.
Thank you. It's been a long journey,
especially around this time of the year. I mean, like, it's the condition is not always the best time to raise, but you guys did it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it took us a lot longer than we expected.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're very grateful. We're very thankful. We're able to close and then now can focus on getting back to the business.
Yeah. So certainly, I've heard so much good things about you.
Really?
So
okay,
it's finally it's good to finally sit down together and talk.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be able to talk to you today.
Right. So let's start with your background. What's the initial spark for you to start Mimin?
So what we do today, what Mimin do today, wasn't what we did when I first founded.
And then which was in
back in 2021.
21. Okay.
Yeah. So back then, what we did was we were trying to enable chat commerce for SMEs in Indo.
Enable chat commerce.
Yeah, because during COVID, a lot of people were selling through WhatsApp, through Instagram, right? Back then, including my wife.
Okay.
So I was helping her out because she was a designer, and then a lot of construction had to be halted.
Okay.
So she started selling things online. So I had to become her admin, right? So find the shipping prices, do a lot of admin stuff. So then that was the initial idea.
Okay.
But then we quickly realized that there's no money in SMEs in Indo. Probably we were targeting the MSMEs, right? The M and then the S, right? The micro and the small, right? It's very difficult for us to monetize. So that's why after raising our first institutional round at the end of 22, we basically pivoted our market targeting mid-market and large enterprise back in 2023.
Okay.
So Mimin, as it is now, it's technically from 23 lah.
23. Okay. But the idea and the business itself already started in 21.
Correct. Yeah. So essentially, ChatGPT launched in 22.
Yeah.
So when that was announced in 23, we got a lot of ideas on how to integrate AI into our existing platform.
Right.
Back then, we didn't understand, the terms that a lot of people use now, which is Agentic AI. Right.
That's exactly right.
So we just thought, okay, it'll be cool if we integrate this to this, so that we can decrease a lot of the human touch out of it. Right. So now we're able to say, okay, what we're doing is Agentic AI applications.
Yes. But then probably prior to ChatGPT was released, people were thinking to create their own model kind of thing, right? And then once ChatGPT was released, OpenAI is a thing. It's becoming like, you don't actually have to create your own model. They already have the model. And then what we need to find is actually the applications of the model.
I actually go as far to say it's not that you don't need to. It doesn't make sense for you to.
It doesn't make sense to make it because well, especially in this part of the world, the funding's not there. The talent, unfortunately, is not there as well, right? But third, the OpenAI guys, the Google guys, the Anthropic guys, the Meta guys,
they've had such a big start, right? So it just doesn't make sense for you to start building now. So that's why I know a couple of months ago, Indo announced that we want to build our own LLM.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. For me, okay, maybe it's for nationality, sovereignty. Sure, okay.
Yeah. It's the national pride.
Yeah,
I would
national
say.
pride. But I mean, if you've tried ChatGPT,
It's way
Plot,
ahead.
it's way ahead. It's very good.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Now, ever since the launch of ChatGPT, the rate of improvement has been really exponential. We can say up until 4.0 now for ChatGPT. How different the landscape now compared to when you first started 3 years ago?
When we first started, so 23, right? ChatGPT again launched November 22, 3.5.
Yeah.
That was the first model they launched to the public. It was smart, but very limited, right? You almost can't do anything about it. But the rate of progress is almost like every 6 months. Now it's like every 3 months. OpenAI back in December, they did this amazing thing where they had this 12 days of Christmas. So every day for 12 days, they launch a new feature.
Okay.
Right? So, and all of these features are amazing stuff. 4.0 was launched, I think maybe close to a year ago now. And I think they're even kind of already abandoning the whole 4.0 mentality. They're now going to this reasoning model.
Okay.
Right? So it's called O1. They said they launched O3 back in December. It's not released yet. But yeah, so now they're moving away from just regular large language model or large foundational model. Now it's all about reasoning model, right?
Yeah.
So making that progress towards, I guess, at the end of the day, AGI.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your startup, Mimin. You are focusing on conversational AI. Why is it important, and how do you see the use case, especially in B2B in Indo?
So when we sell, we try not to think of our client. We try to think of our client's client.
Right.
So the end user. And at the end of the day, we're all humans. We want to be able to talk normally to other human beings.
Right.
Now, a lot of the solutions out there to automate a lot of these conversations, chatbot has been around for years, right?
Yeah.
A lot of years. The problem with a lot of those chatbots are it's not conversational, right? It's very
awkward and it's not natural.
And then you ask one thing and then they keep on saying, sorry, I don't understand you.
Right.
And at the end of the day, a lot of survey has been done. Actually, it's up to 60 or 70% of people when they converse with a chatbot or even when they do a call, they're just figuring out ways to be connected to the human. Right. So just press 0 or something like that.
Let me connect you with the agents.
Yeah. So that doesn't really solve the problem for the businesses, right? So that's where conversational AI comes in, right? So what we build is we want to build a solution where when the end user talks to the businesses, it'll feel like you're talking to a human being. And that's been our benchmark, right? Whenever we want to do a UAT, right? We want to make sure that the end user feels like it's talking to an actual human being. Being able to understand the way I speak, being able to address me as how I'm speaking, right? So I think all of those things are very important. And we've seen that it has made a good impact for the business, right?
Okay.
A lot of different things, either an increase in sales, right? Just because it's a higher conversion rate.
Yeah, it's a good customer experience, basically.
Exactly. So all of those things.
Yeah. And not to mention the cost that they've been able to cut for those roles.
Well, cost is a very unique thing, especially for us in Indo. So Mimin is currently in 3 markets. We're in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore.
Right.
Indonesia, cost has never been our pitch, I suppose. Just because whenever you try to pitch them on cost, they say, "Oh, but my agent is in Jogja."
Right.
Where
it's a low UMR.
Low UMR, right? So and then there's always new Jogja, right, in Indo. So it's for us, it's how, okay, when we talk to Indonesian clients, it's all about how can I help you maybe build a new channel for you to be able to sell more.
Yep.
Or maybe there's different parts of your business that can be, that we can make more efficient.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really interesting use case. You're not really telling them, okay, this is how much cost that you can have, but rather this is the opportunity
Exactly.
that you might have lost
Yes.
by not digitizing using AI.
Yep.
Okay.
That pitch works very well in Singapore because
The cost-cutting
of,
one.
yeah, the cost
cost
of
of
human
people
capital is
pretty
large,
expensive.
right?
That's right.
So yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, we've been hearing a lot of buzzwords around AI, talking about conversational AI, Gen AI. Now we're looking into agentic AI. It's the next big thing. Even I saw someone trying to copyright something on agentic AI, which kind of questionable to me.
What did they try to copyright?
I'll let you know after this.
Okay.
But this is something like, why would you have to patent? How can you patent an agentic AI workflow? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
anyway, that's another conversations. But can you explain the difference between, at least between those three?
Okay. So AI is a very generic term for artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
right? It's essentially, how you can automate a lot of different things without any human involvement.
Yeah.
When you talk about generative AI, it's a bit more advanced in the sense that it'll be able to generate new things without you asking it to, right?
Okay.
Before, maybe it's a lot of advanced programming, right? With generative AI, it's already pre-trained on billions or trillions of data, and then it's able to generate answers, right? Just like you talking to a human being, because you've learned a lot. Then when I talk to you, I ask you questions, you can give me an answer.
Right.
Agentic AI is, I would say it's like a subset of GenAI, right? Agentic AI is when the AI then can function on your behalf.
Okay.
Right. When it can take actions on your behalf.
Yeah.
If, for example, when you use ChatGPT, you're only interacting with the AI itself, right?
Yeah.
To get answers, things like that. But using agentic AI, you're giving it permission to either make a booking, ticket bookings, right?
Okay.
To make a purchase on your behalf, to click on the web browser, or to send an email on your behalf.
All right.
So that I would say is the main difference.
So that's so when you're saying generative AI, it's like our experience talking to ChatGPT.
Yes.
Whereas agentic AI taking it to the next level where they can do actions, like they can do activities for you.
Yes.
Booking calendar, like you mentioned, booking calendar and that.
So OpenAI just released the new features called Operator. It's not out yet, but they just released it. I think there's going to be a lot of issues with agentic AI. So that's not what we do at Mimin, right? So what we do at Mimin with agentic AI is quite focused on the different actions that you want the AI to do on your behalf.
All right.
I think the problem with agentic AI with Operator later on is that, maybe I'll step back. What it can do is that you can allow it to browse
On your behalf.
On your behalf,
Correct.
Right. So for example, if you give it a prompt, I want to find a recipe for chocolate chip cookies.
Yep.
It'll browse websites. It'll click on your behalf, right? The problem I see is, can you trust it?
Right.
Can you trust it to click the proper links? Can you trust it to find the recipe, for example,
The right
based on
resources,
the right
basically.
resources, things like that, right? So that's with Operator on OpenAI. What we do at Mimin with our agentic AI is quite limited and structured,
Yep.
right? Just to make sure that, hey, you can trust this AI to do the things that you want it to do on your behalf, right?
Yep. So can you give me like an example? How does that work in Mimin?
Yeah. So a good example, or one of the more complex example, is hotel bookings, hotel reservations. Hotel reservation is one of the more complex one because there's a lot of things that you need to gather data. from you, right? I need to know how many nights you want to stay, your check-in date, your number of people, type of rooms, things like that, right? So with what we've built for several of our customers, hospitality customers, is that when you talk to the chatbot, and then more recently our voice AI, it'll be able to answer any questions that you have, and then it'll be able to make bookings on your behalf, and it'll give you reminders, it'll give you updates, greeting you, things like that, right? So just like any receptionist would,
or PA,
yeah.
Okay, let's talk a bit more about the misconceptions with AI today. How do you see the misconceptions? What people see when they heard the AI?
AI is unfortunately currently an overused term. Right. Almost all companies, tech companies right now these days is hey, we have AI. Right. Where in actuality, a lot of the AI they claim to have is maybe like the first definition, right? There's a very advanced programming, right? Advanced advanced automation, right? So for us, whenever we talk to clients, whenever they say like, oh yeah, we met with this company, and then they say they can also help with AI chatbot, things like that, right? I always give them, I always tell them of this litmus test that they can use to check. First, can you talk to the AI again like a human being, right? Conversationally, right? Don't treat it like it's a very proper system, right? Talk to it like how you would chat in WhatsApp normally, right? With a lot of like slang, a lot of like abbreviations, things like that. That's the first one. Second one, what would happen if you ask it things that very out there, right?
Such as?
So for example, let's take the hotel example, right? It would make sense for the chatbot to be able to answer anything about the hotel. But let's say you ask a very ridiculous question, and this happened to my client. She said, the owner said, "Hey, I want to try to ask, can I bring my cat here?" Right? Or she was joking, let's say, "Hey, I want to ask, is this hotel haunted?" Right? It's a very
out of the box kind of questions.
Kind of questions, right? You want to see what their answer is, right? Is it a generic type of answer? Is it sorry, we can't understand, or like it depends, right? So with generative AI, what it'll be able to do is it'll be able to, again, so if you talk to a receptionist at a hotel, hey, is this hotel haunted? Right? The receptionist wouldn't answer you, "I'm sorry, I don't know."
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
It'll try to convince you, say, "Hey, of course not."
Of course not.
Right? So same thing with AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back a bit on the agentic AI topic, right? What are the potential? Say, like a company like Ledger Out would like to work on our customer experience. How does that gonna look like? Let's probably around your solutions.
Right.
Yeah. How does that gonna look like?
What I would offer you.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It's gonna be every day is a sales pitch.
Sales pitch, right? A 5-minute sales pitch. Let's see. I think I would ask you to look at onboarding. Might be one, right? That is a repetitive action that you can definitely solve using AI. Two is probably your support. I would assume a lot of your customers keep bugging your team.
Totally.
To ask, hey, how do I use this? What happened? Things like that. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
So you can definitely use GenAI to solve a lot of those problems. We're actually working with a partner. They're an HR IS system. Right? We're actually helping them in building. So we help build a chatbot that's connected to their HRIS, so that their customers or their end users can ask anything about their own personal data
within that platform.
Right? So for example, because this is HR, I can ask, hey, why is my tax deduction this amount?
Much.
Right?
Okay.
Hey, what is how many leave allowance do I have left? Things like that, right? So a lot of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about well, definitely what you said about customer experience, getting informations out. through WhatsApp. I'm guessing your platform is going to compatible with WhatsApp. That's something that taking quite a bit of time to resolve. Okay, I am a big proponent on job creation. Basically, I believe that one thing that us entrepreneur has put in the back of our head is to create job as many as possible.
Yeah.
But then looking at how this technology progressing, it seems like there will be a new type of jobs, but the old type that's repetitive and non-value added will be diminished over time. Now, how do you see the balance between the automation and human interaction in the fields?
I think.
Well, the first question would be: would there be job loss?
Definitely, yes.
Okay,
and we're already seeing it.
We're already seeing
it.
That's correct.
So for people say, "Oh, it's still 3 years time, 5 years time." No, it's not. It's here, right? At the end of last year, the World Economic Forum released their annual jobs report outlook, right, for the world. And then one of the things that they looked at is what job creation would there be, right? And then what job losses there would be.
Yeah.
Like you said, a lot of the job losses are these repetitive stuff, right? But it's not just repetitive stuff. You would be surprised that a lot of white-collar jobs is going gone. In the opposite side, what the types of jobs that would increase, actually one of the top, I think 5 or 10 is, to my surprise, farmers, right?
Okay.
Laborers.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, right? Maybe until you can create self-autonomous robots, right?
Yeah.
But at least maybe for like the next 5 years, it's still all right. Yeah. I think it's very interesting, like you said, a lot of job loss and then a lot of new job creation as well. I think it's inevitable. You can't stop it.
Yep.
The example I always give is like back in the 1900s, 1920s, there's a lot of lift operators, right? Because elevator.
Elevators.
Elevator operators. In New York City, right? In large cities around the world, because back then you had to have someone operating the lift. And then when there's automated lift, that job is gone, right? What can you do about it? Nothing you can do about it. So I think the same case with AI. It's all about how are you adapting to it? Are you using it on a daily basis? I think this is an interesting and a longer conversation. It ties back to our education, right? In our country, whether or not our schools and our universities are prepping our graduates to use it, or their mindset is it's the enemy, right? You can't use it. And then I think what ends up happening is they enter the workforce, and then in your company, in my company, in a lot of companies, you're expected right now, at least you should be able to use ChatGPT, right?
Exactly.
But if you don't prepare them properly, then that's going to be an issue.
Oh yeah. Well, we're definitely seeing a lot of changes in the industry of my industry, basically in accounting and tax. You basically can, the simplest one in tax, for example, you got like 60 pages, 100 pages worth of rules, new regulations, right? Upload it into ChatGPT and ask, summarize this for me.
Exactly, right? So then what would the consultants be doing, right?
Exactly.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up. At the same time, it's not that simple, right?
Yeah.
It's not that easy. It's not that simple because one, there's a data privacy issue.
Yep.
Two, there's this thing called hallucination.
Okay.
All right. So if you just upload, let's say, a 60, 100-page document to ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever, right? You have to be aware of hallucination, especially if then with text, right? For example, in your industry, it's not just one document.
Yeah.
There's a lot of documents
that
right?
needs to be reviewed.
Exactly. So that's why it's not that easy to just use. A lot of people like say, ChatGPT can do that. Right?
Yeah.
But in our case, what we've seen, right? We've done a lot of those projects as well. It's not that easy to get it right. It's not that easy to get the accuracy rate high. It's not that easy to get latency. You'll encounter a lot of problems with limits.
Yep.
Right. So a lot of those things. But if you do it on a retail, like not enterprise level basis, then yes, definitely
a way. Yeah, I guess my point of bringing up about tax is more towards replacing the lower level jobs that normally reviewing documents and getting the summary out of it.
Yes.
But then I believe a lot of white collars, especially in professionals, they still requires someone who kind of certified the results. Right?
Yes.
You can get all the data wherever you want, right?
Yes.
But then at the end of the day, it's like there was a journal saying that the CPAs around the world are decreasing. Right,
Yes,
the number of people who would like to do the test CPA is decreasing. But the way I see it, it's an opportunity for me because, a lot of work will be done. A lot of the prep work can be replaced, but you still have someone to say that, yep, this is it.
So that's also to my point earlier about agentic AI, right? The issue, if you can notice right there, it's not about the AI, it's not about the language model, it's not about the application, it's about the trust factor, right? Can you trust it that whatever it's feeding you back, it's the right results,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So trust will ultimately be the homework for us in this industry.
Yeah, totally. So, in your experience, like let's move on to the next 1 hour that I really want to say. In your experience, when you're dealing with Indonesian businesses that's thinking to change their workflow or whatever they need into this technology, what's the sticking point? What's the problem that they face when they're adopting this new technology?
I think it's different for different industries.
Okay.
So we serve 10 plus industries. And it's always different for different industries. I think right now the mindset a lot of companies have, and it's good for us, is how right now all they want to do is I just need to implement AI.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a lot of clients, especially large companies, come to us say, Pak, Mas, we want to use AI. We don't know how.
Okay.
You tell us, right? You tell us how we can use it.
Where
properly.
we can use it.
Exactly. So it ends up being almost like an interview session.
Okay.
Right? For like the first 2 meetings, right? And then what I appreciate is that as we're building for them, right? They realize that, hey, we have all of these ideas.
Yeah.
Right? We have these notions of what AI can do, what we think it can do, but you got to tell us. So I think a lot of to answer your question, it's different things for different industries. But what I see happening, or one of the problem, is that a lot of people in Indo think that AI is like a
magic pill.
Yeah, like a magic solution, right? It's like a genie.
Yeah.
Which is not.
It's not.
Right. So again, that's another issue that I think people have to understand.
A lot of education part of okay, this is what we can do,
right,
based on your workflow.
Right. It can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not
it's not a magic pill.
It's not a magic pill. They keep thinking that it can do whatever I want it to do without me having to prep anything.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the big issue there.
Okay. But then in terms of the pushback, did you get a lot of pushback from the current actors? Say, for example, if you are going to go to let's say in the sales division of this company, and then you bringing changes, new technologies to these divisions. Are there a lot of pushbacks?
The pushback happened maybe late 23, early 24.
Okay.
When AI was just picking up, but everyone's like, what is it? What is it? Towards the end of 2024, we see a lot of inquiries.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of demand. So at the moment, no. Especially because, taking your example, right, with sales. Again, what we're proposing is not to cut your salespeople, right? What we're proposing is
We're actually-
hey, let's create a new sales channel, right, to help bring in more sales, to optimize your salespeople.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's at least the intro angle.
Okay. That's actually a good one, because, well, who can resist for
more money,
more
right?
money, right?
Yeah.
More sales coming in. Who's really,
Yeah.
especially those salespeople probably getting their cuts from every sales, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, let's discuss your current trajectory, that you're working with customers in Singapore and Malaysia. What's the biggest challenge for Indonesian startups, specifically to go global, to go regional at least?
I think off the top of my head, it's number one is mindset.
Okay.
I think we've been, for the past 10 years, from the VCs
I like
to the
this.
media,
Let's hear it.
to everyone,
Yeah.
has been saying Indo is the largest ASEAN market, right? Why would you go outside of Indo, right?
Win Indonesia first.
Win Indonesia first, right? Indonesia is so large, but when you do a deep dive, especially if you go to B2B, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many companies that you can target
Exactly.
who's willing to pay, right? Generally speaking, the average contract value in Indo is lower.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we go overseas, right? So I think for us, it has to be a deliberate approach. It has to be with an intention that no, we need to go out. Indo is still, for Mimin, is still our largest market by far, right? And it's still going to be so, I think, maybe for like the next 2 years, right? But if you don't start now, if you don't start doing the building blocks,
groundwork
right?
now,
The groundwork, right? You're never gonna go out.
No.
Right?
No. You're going to be a lot more comfortable,
hesitant, right? A lot of different things. Because when, for example, when we go to Malaysia, it's different than when we go to Singapore.
Correct.
Right? So there's a learning curve that you kind of have to go through there as well. So I think that's probably the main reason why Indonesian startups don't go outside of Indo. It's just because we've been, again, 10 years. Indo is the largest market, blah, 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 things like that.
Yeah. Even now it's being publicly refuted, I must say, that, Indo is big, but for who?
Yeah.
For what kind of startups? And what's big? What's the definition of big, right?
Right. Yeah. Again, I think Indo, at least for us, because we live here,
right? Of course,
we know we have a lot of connections here.
Right? I think it's makes sense if you're operating in Indo, you kind of serve the market in here.
Of course,
makes sense.
The mindset I always have is like, if you think about SaaS companies from Europe, from Australia, right? From maybe anywhere outside of America, they never have a mindset of, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna serve, for example, Germany, right? I'm just gonna serve my German market. No, right? They're already from the get go. They're already thinking of EU as a one market, right? Same thing with ASEAN, right? So why aren't we thinking that?
So you're that's what you and your co-founder was thinking.
Yes.
So we're not just gonna be in Indo.
No.
We're gonna be looking into Asian, for example.
Yeah, and to be honest, we've in the early days, we met with several investors who then we realized that, okay, this is my filter, right? Because we've met with several investors who are like who said exactly that. Why are you even thinking of going outside, right? So then we turn that into a filter and say, okay, if VCs ask that, then maybe they're not the good
That is
fit.
the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, true.
Yeah.
Well, it's I guess it's the balance has changed right now. I guess a lot of startup founders can now start thinking about selling overseas of their products and services, not just in Indo. And I wanna ask. Let's. It's a good segue to my next questions actually. For those who just started startups, what's the common pitfall other than getting that? We can now say it's quite misleading to just sell in Indo, right? What's the common pitfall, do you think?
I think the common pitfall is a pursuit of perfection.
Interesting.
I think, especially if every stage of companies, you need to change your strategy, right? But if you're just starting out, and then from the get-go, all you're thinking is it needs to be perfect, right? I think Reid Hoffman has this quote that I really like. If you launch when you're not nervous, you've launched too late.
Right.
And that's always been my mantra, right? So I think as founders, we think of ourselves as our baby. So then you want it to be perfect
before
right?
it goes out in the world.
Exactly. Change this pixel, change this color, right? Things like that. I mean, we all did that. But at the end of the day, that's not what's important, right? A good distribution of your product will trump a good design.
And I guess maybe in 21 22 revenue wasn't such a big thing, and these days you gotta get asked eventually, how does that look like, how's your top line looks like, right?
Yep, exactly.
And that's so are you in a proponent of you have to make money from day one?
I think at the end of the day, startups is a business, right? I never understood the concept of your economics not aligning, so that you know what I mean. Like your gross, your COGS, for example, is much higher
than your revenue. So you're
right?
getting like a minus gross margin.
Exactly. So then whatever you do, I mean, you're messed up. I wouldn't say. Right.
I guess that kind of equation kind of changed, right? From the heyday of 21, 22, and then 24. There's a lot of startups that just started. They already got asked, okay, what's your traction look like? How does that shown on your top line?
I'll go as far as, so my experience has always been in SaaS, right? So I'll go as far to even say you should never give a free trial.
Okay.
You should always get someone to pay from day one. Whatever the price is. Right? So that, because when you give someone something free and they don't understand the value, they underestimate what you've given them.
I totally agree.
Right? So I think charge something, anything, and then from there you can start to test out your pricing. Right?
So you're not a proponent of freemium model?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, we don't offer it. We don't offer it in Mimin.
It's pretty much the same.
It's either I tell you, okay, I can give you free trial, right? But then after that you pay. Or there's no freemium.
No freemium. Okay, excellent. Now, specific to those who wants to start AI-based startups, how do you see the implementation or use case specifically in Indonesia?
In Indo, such a,
because I really think that we're quite years behind in terms of technology adoption. We still have a lot of COD. Still making up a big portions of D2C kind of businesses, right? So it just shows how lagging we are. Now AI is a new technology that just sprung up in the last 2 years. What kind of use case that you see Indo company can use?
Okay, if I take off my capitalist hat,
Yeah.
right, and I don't want to think about maximizing profit,
Profit
things
and
like
all
that,
that,
right?
yeah.
I think I would have to say whatever use case, it has to be for the education sector.
Education.
Yeah, it has to be for the education sector.
Yeah.
If not, what ends up happening is you'll think of, okay, what will go viral in Indo? You know, what would the Indonesian general public would like, and then maybe you'll start creating AI apps, AI dating apps, right? AI friendship apps, right? I'm lonely. Oh, I just
Yeah.
want to talk. That's a huge thing in Japan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But so that's because you don't, we try not to fix from the ground up, which is the education part, right? If you don't educate, again, our high schoolers, our university graduates, right, then it's going to be very difficult to do anything moving forward.
Yeah.
The reason why China, Vietnam, right, all of these neighboring countries, Singapore,
Yeah.
right, they have a deliberate plan to implement AI from the ground up, right? We tend to just, it's like DC and Marvel,
Right.
the MCU, they built it from the ground up, but DC felt they had to catch up. So then they're like, okay, you know what, we'll just release everyone, right? And that didn't work out for
Yeah.
them, right? So that's why they're again, this is they're kind of scrapping the whole idea. They're starting to build it from the ground up again, right? Same thing with AI in Indo, I feel. Yeah, education, I think, is a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that education, but you have to take off your capitalist hat.
Yes.
So you're saying that educations won't make any money?
Because I think edutech is a very difficult sector.
Areas to tackle.
Yeah. It's very difficult. I think there's a lot of stakeholders. Indonesia education system is still very much reliant on our ministry. So you kind of have to go, I think, that route. And okay, we don't want to get into politics, right? The policy has to stay intact.
Intact. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Not keep changing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for coming. It has been really good talking to you, and best of luck with Mimin.
Thank you so much, man, for having me.
Oh,
Great
amazing.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.